The word G about to regulate.
We need a regulator. We need
You
someone
know what
who's
I mean?
gonna.
Like it just hit the it just hit the LC and the LBC. A mission trying to find Mr. Warren G. We need that guy. We don't have him yet, but we're gonna get him when it's time right.
I hope so, man. I hope so, and I hope
How could
I
you not
hope
see it?
I I
We could easily be over 500, and all this shit talk is not happening.
don't know. I don't know. Wait, we
I
got to
mean, how
see.
far away are we? A couple free throws away.
No, that's all fact. But these are bad teams that we're supposed to hammer. Like we were supposed to get a jump
How
on
many
this.
games did we win last year against bad teams that we just hung up? Think about the Houston win last year. Lucky win.
You have the worst
Kings
case of the
win.
hiccups.
That's basketball. That's basketball. And yes, I got the hiccups. That's basketball.
All
That's
right.
basketball. Over 82 games, you're more likely to play a game that is a tight game that goes down to late in the fourth quarter, and the Nets are going to eventually stop turning it over, start executing, and it'll be a fucking.
Yo, you need.
Listen,
you need
I got the hiccups. I'm going to give my brother Steve. I want to get him on here.
Get him on. Get him on.
Steve, talk to my boy Eve Starbose. Talk to him.
Steve, what up, man?
Hey, what's up? First off, I want to say I heard the podcast you did the other night, and when Matt first told me about it, I expected to be amateur and mediocre. It was really good. You guys had a great back and forth. Like, it didn't feel forced. It flowed out. You got a real talent for it, for sure. Like, you should be on the Evan, you should be doing the Evan show. Let Evan Roberts right now in the fan. Like, you really did a great job. So I just want to say that first.
Listen, Twitter's my barbershop where I talk sports, and me and Bam, we've been doing this for a while, and it's natural for us. This is like the arguments that you hear is authentic, and I think most good content is authentic. Man, I'm happy to have someone who actually knows Bam. Is he as much of an asshole as he projects on Twitter?
Well, so he is, but it's my fault. It's my fault, though, because I'm his older brother, and I'm a bigger asshole. And, well, he had to be an asshole. To, we got two other brothers, to do that and fill your role. You always have to learn that trait. But I just have to ask because I'm curious about this because my guess would be the answer is yes. But do you have a degree in journalism or anything? Did you school? Because you sound like someone who's like schooled in it.
No,
nothing.
So I went. I'm a software engineer. I write code, and the reason why I write code is because my uncle went to Cal Berkeley and came back with a computer in 1986 and taught me. But when I was going to college and I wanted to go to school for computer science, my parents was like, only hippies go to school for computer science. And I went to school for journalism and broadcasting. So yes, I do have a degree in journalism, but I never worked a day as a journalist. Never ever. So all of this is out of just love of basketball. And the kind of incredible thing is I started an incubator that invests in content creators, and we're building out a space in Bushwick. So I thought if I'm going to invest in people who create content, I should know what it's like to do the routine, use the tools, distribute, and I'm donating any ad money. And it's funny, we've only had 600 listeners so far, but whatever little bit of ad money we make, I have a foundation that puts kids through school in Haiti, and I'm just donating all of that ad money just to get this experience and be better at investing in folks who do this.
Wow. Well, I want to say, and I know I want to talk about that. That's why I got on the phone. But I do want to just because you mentioned that as a side note, that's even more impressive that you mentioned the Haiti string of it, because that's a topic I'm very well versed in, and anyone who's got their foot in that door to me is a help. But back to the basketball and the journalism thing, like
the naturalness of it really struck me. Again, taking from my perspective, my brother tells me he does a podcast with this guy on the Nets. I'm assuming it to be this mediocre, thing, and it just sounded. I'm not just saying this because my brother was on it. Because to be honest with you, I wanted to criticize it and mock it and derive it in every way I could, but it was just so good. And that 600 view thing is not going to be like that for long. But if I can say something on the Nets, I want to say a few things just overhearing your conversation and also basing it off of the last podcast that I heard. Number one, their record through the first 30 games this year, it really doesn't matter. When you throw in my opinion, when you throw in a brand new team to the mix. I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but when Miami first built that dream team, that first year, I think they were like 9 and 8, 6 and 8, I think even at some point. And already the media started with, it's not working. There's too many egos. Basketball teams, like any sports team, like any office, any leadership thing, you need some time to have some cohesion and to learn each other's role. You could already see, and Matt mentioned it during the game, that like it's almost like they're running plays for Evans, they're running plays for LeVert, they're also running plays for Dinwiddie, and they're running plays for Irving. Like, at some point they'll find what balance is correct, and guys will start to sense, where this guy's going to be on the court. Like, you can see Jordan in a few places, just kind of like a hair off on some passes, and they're kind of like they're working to learn each other right now. It's essentially naturally. It was great that they won tonight. Because you didn't want to get that prospect to go 1-4, 1-5, then it becomes a thing. But the reality is, this is about where do they look after game 40? And right now, I would sign up for the Nets to be 2-3 games over 500 by game 40, because halfway through the season after that, they would be start to gelling and from there. But I don't know what you think about it from that angle.
No, I think
the cohesion.
I think that's reasonable. I think Kyrie and knowing that Durant is in the wings has everyone in the fan base being very reasonable. But what's the linchpin? What has to happen for that to be the case? Is it Kyrie staying healthy? Is it LeVert staying healthy? Is it them finding a fourth or a fifth guy? What has to happen to make sure that we finish the season above 500?
Above 500, nothing crazy, nothing special at all has to happen. This team is going to finish the season above 500 and well above it. It's just going to take a little time to. I don't want to repeat what I just said, but a little time to get finishing over 500 in the NBA, especially in the Eastern Conference this year, is not a big accomplishment. Right, it's not a big accomplishment. It's not something that's crazy. I mean, you look at tonight. Basically, tonight felt like a game the Nets kind of had to win. And even though they started off rocky, they just showed the hard effort, and they played harder than another team who's kind of, they're 3-1. There's no urgency for the Houston Rockets tonight, So to answer your question, I don't think finishing over 500, at least in my head, that's not the goal. I mean, putting aside whether Durant is going to come back or not, which I don't think anyone here really knows, I think we'd probably all lean on saying no, most likely he won't. But putting that aside, I think for the Nets to have a successful season without Durant, in my opinion, the ceiling is can they not play Philly and Milwaukee in a playoffs series? Can they just play them? And if they just have to play one of them based off of the bracket, you take your chance. You never know. A guy like Giannis gets hurt, and you're playing them instead. You saw it last year in the finals. I mean, my thing is this: let's not worry about the record until the season's halfway through. Mm-hmm. Before we start going down that road. They just started playing together. I mean, just think about how many new pieces are in the starters. The bench group is playing poorly right now. How many new pieces? So it's almost virtually an entirely new bench unit. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So of course, you're going to see those like early round struggles. But talk to me at game 40. I don't think the standings is the goal right now.
I'm writing it down that I'm going to talk to both of you in game 40. So I'm keeping you to that.
Okay. I will. That's why I just think it's fair. Just like I said, this is not Luciano. Like I just don't think you can judge a brand new team going up against cohesive units right away. Like you got to give them some time. I mean, if we were to, there was a point last season where we were to judge the Nets, we would have all been calling Atkinson to be fired, right? We would have wanted the whole thing blown off, and then they win 8 games in a row. So, like, I think you just got to, basketball, football, you got to be careful. It's a long-term game. The thing I'm concerned about, and I want to see if you're picking this up on the game, is Atkinson's in-game management a little bit sometimes I don't quite get. Like, I don't deride the way he prepares the team, his scheme. All that stuff seems top of the league. But sometimes you're sitting there and you're like, why hasn't he called timeout? Like, why, call timeout here. Like I saw it in the beginning of the fourth quarter tonight. Right. It got down a little too close for my liking. It's like, why, they were kind of out of sorts. Like, that type of stuff, he seems to react slow. And I would just say before I hear your reaction to that is, also I think sometimes he's a bit too much of a slave to the analytics. I'm just curious if you pick that up. Or if you see it anymore.
I think the analytics stuff is fine. I'd rather analytics than guessing. I think the problem with Atkinson is that he's too deliberate, so it kind of looks like how you're describing. But
right.
Either way, I think the Nets have personnel problems. I think when you could see that he's a good coach because when they come out of timeouts, he always runs pretty good plays. He usually calls a good set. It's just my worry about him is that he believes in small ball too much. When you have monsters in the East, you have Giannis and you have Embiid, and I don't think the roster is big enough to deal with those guys. So my belief in him is it's like a weird Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing where I half love everything that they do, but they have this one flaw that I think holds them back, and I don't want Kevin Durant playing power forward. I don't want him banging with these big wings that are going to attack the basket. I don't think that's what you do. Iron Eagle today called him the Maserati in the garage, and that's real. I don't want the Maserati doing drag races or anything like that.
Right, you don't want to drive it in the snow.
Exactly. But
okay,
fellas,
that's a fair. And you think that I'm assuming the one piece you think they're missing is that Iguodala.
Yeah, they need like Matt said, we need a ghetto player. We need someone who's gonna thug it out a little bit on the court. We need someone who's a master of shithousery. So we don't have that guy right now, and you need them to win. You need that person who's just gonna go out there and be physical, and just grab the game by its throat, or
be that blue collar guy.
Exactly. Or you're gonna see Kawhi in the finals, which is what I hope to see. I hope to one day see another NBA finals, and when that happens, I want to be able to have that guy that's going to look Kawhi in the eye and say, I don't care how big your hands are, that you still got cornrows, that you still look, cockeyed and like you just got out of jail like last week. I'm ready to play ball. And we don't have that. That guy would have been Montrezl Harrell. They have him on the Clippers. But we need that type of guy that's going to play physical with them.
You're 100% right. I mean, I don't think
what's harder to get, that guy or Kevin Durant?
We have Kevin Durant. So there's nothing to talk about with Kevin. We have Kevin Durant. Right. I just don't want Kevin Durant. I don't want Kevin Durant having to play physical. I just want Kevin Durant to go out there and just do what Kevin Durant does.
Right, and it would be a misuse of Kevin Durant to try to have him go out there and be that physical guy. That's not what he is. So you're 100%. I agree. And I heard you guys say it on the other podcast. You're reiterating now. Me and Matt talked about it before the season. Like, that is the guy they're missing. In that vein, I want to say one thing. One thing I know, because Prince is kind of playing that role in a weird way.
He's a backup.
But I want to say tonight what I saw about him, forget the shooting, he has a high motor. I don't know if you noticed that.
He does. Steve, I gotta only because we're coming up to 15 seconds on the pod, so I just want to say thank you for joining the front office, and I'm gonna hold you to that 40th game thing, and we're gonna talk when that happens. New York
Okay,
City.
thank you.